Good morning. Well, today I wanted to talk to you about something that I have been doing sort of maniacally for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that is reading. I don't know what's gotten into me. I've always been a reader, but because I was a teacher, I was reading texts to instruct, or I was grading papers. Even when I was a professor, I was reading dissertations and, textbooks to adopt. And so I didn't do as much fiction reading as I wanted to, or as I had earlier in my life. So now that I'm retired, this summer, I am just reading like a crazy woman. I'll show you the set of books on my bedstand, which I finished, and those are just half. Now, a lot of the books that I've read, I must admit, are the Louise Penny books. I have finished all 17 of the Louise Penny books, and I am waiting with bated breath for the next installment. So I'm very excited for that to come out. I've also read some chick lit books. My daughter calls them chick lit, which are good, but some of them are very spicy. Very spicy. But today I want to tell you about a book that is just extraordinary. Such a worthy book, such a beautiful book. And it is called Lillian Boxfish Takes a Walk. And it is by Kathleen Rooney. It's a fictionalized account of a woman's life, a woman who actually lived from the 1930s. And it's just extraordinary. I want to tell you a little bit about it. There's no spoilers, so you can listen to the whole thing. But I really recommend it as a summer read, especially if you are a woman of a certain age. All right. So I took a few notes, as teachers do, because I wanted to make sure to get everything in. So let me tell you why I like it. Number one, the main character, Lillian Boxfish, is so beautifully drawn. She tells the story retrospectively as she takes a walk. She's 85, which you know from the cover, so that's not a surprise. She's 85 years old, and she takes a walk through New York City on New Year's Eve. And she takes a 10-mile walk. So she's in pretty good shape through New York City. And as she does so, she remembers and relates essentially the story of her life, which is completely fascinating, and even more fascinating when you know that it is a true story. A lot of it's fictionalized, but Lillian Boxfish is a real person, not the name, but is a person who lived, and you'll see that if you get the book. And it's a feminist take because she is spunky in her job. She was working, full time when not many women were working, and doing a really important job, and really stood up for herself, and does throughout the novel, even at 85, as she encounters the different people in the book on New Year's Eve. She stands up for herself, is always kind, and always, empathetic, but also, she has a real spine and a real strength. The setting is from the 1930s to the present day 1984. So it spans those years. And present day 1980s is not present day 2020, but you recognize it as modern as opposed to her early years, which she describes. The setting is New York. Now, I am a native Californian, so for me to say this is a very big deal. I can tell that if you're a New Yorker, you would love this book. It is really a love letter to New York as she walks around and reminisces about the buildings and the way things were. And it's gorgeous. She's very curious about things around her. So she's not living in the past. She's a modern woman at 85, which is surprising. She's not living in the past, but she does long for the past glories that she enjoyed so much. And here's the thing that really makes the book sing, and that is the writing. Oh my gosh, this woman is an extraordinary writer. She is, the voice of Lillian Boxfish is elegant and refined, but not antiquated, just spot on. And the other characters ring very true. The 1980s characters ring very true, very realistic. The diction and the syntax are elevated, but not to the point where it's so complex or so old-fashioned that it's difficult to parse. You know, I read a book that was written in the 1930s, sort of a funny little romance novel, and it was hard to get through. Oh boy, the diction and the way the sentences were constructed, very, very convoluted. But this is very straightforward, simple, and elegant. Just gorgeous. You know that you are in the hands of an expert writer, for sure. And so I just want to say that this is a book that I didn't rush through. You know, some of the Louise Penny books, I just can't wait to find out. So I'm reading and reading, reading so fast, and I love them, and I love that compelling nature to reading. But this book, while it was very compelling, it was a book that I wanted to ponder, a book that I wanted to savor, because she was so lovely. And it was just like a little jewel that I found this summer. So I've been thinking a lot about Lillian. So Lillian Boxfish reminded me a lot about how women's lives have changed over the many decades. And yet, as a woman of the modern era, I think you will understand how women's lives have not changed that much in society. So, I recommend it highly. It is, again, Lillian Boxfish Takes a Walk by Kathleen Rooney. And I invite you to share with me your one favorite summer read this summer. And I'll collect them all and share them with all of our readers. Have a great day.